Louis Pasteur, one of the most important figures in medical history. Let's learn about his life and work. Louis Pasteur was born on December 27, 1822, in Dole, France. His father was a tanner, and from an early age he had to help out in the family business. This made him very interested in chemistry and biology. After graduating from university, Pasteur became professor of chemistry at a university. There he developed his famous germ theory. Germ theory is the idea that microscopic organisms cause infectious diseases. Before Pasteur's time, people thought that diseases were caused by bad air or an imbalance of the four humors, which are blood, phlegm, yellow, and black bile. Even though people could see bacteria under the microscope, they didn't think that these organisms caused disease. In 1865, Pasteur was asked to help with a scientific experiment. Some winemakers in France had a problem. Their wine often became cloudy and tasted sour, and they wanted to know why. Pasteur looked through a sample of the cloudy wine under a microscope and saw these tiny rod-shaped organisms. He called them microbes. He then heated the wine to 85 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes. After this, there were no more microbes in the wine, and it didn't become cloudy or sour. This process is now called pasteurization. After this discovery, Pasteur started to do more experiments. He wanted to know if microbes caused other foods to spoil. So he left some pieces of meat out in the open air and some in a covered dish. The uncovered meat went bad, but the covered meat stayed fresh. He then boiled some broth for an hour, but the broth still went bad. However, if he boiled it for 10 times longer, it stayed fresh. In this way, Pasteur disproved the idea of spontaneous generation. This is the idea that living things can come from non-living things. For example, some people thought that mice just spontaneously generated from dirty laundry. Pasteur also developed a vaccine for anthrax. Anthrax is a deadly disease that affects cattle and sheep. At that time, farmers would get sick and die from anthrax every year. Pasteur found that if he took tissue from an infected animal and ground it up into a powder, the powder could be used to make a vaccine. Farmers could then use this vaccine to protect their animals from the disease. This discovery led to the development of vaccines for other diseases, such as rabies and cholera. Even though Pasteur is most famous for his work on germs, he actually worked on many other things too. He helped develop the process of canning food. He also did research on crystallography. This is the study of crystals. In fact, he discovered the first asymmetrical crystal. This is a crystal that looks different from its mirror image. Pasteur also did research on molecular biology and biophysics. Towards the end of his life, Pasteur became very interested in the brain. He founded the first institute dedicated to brain research. Today, we call it the Pasteur Institute. So what did Louis Pasteur discover? Well, he discovered the germ theory, the process of pasteurization, vaccines, and he helped develop canning food. He also discovered the first asymmetrical crystal. And finally, he founded the Pasteur Institute. There are so many amazing scientists that have lived on this planet. If you want to learn about others, stay tuned. See you next time.